In the latest Minecraft Snapshot 21W08A, we were introduced to a selection of new sediments, including deep slate, smooth basalt, and deep slate tiles. These are a set of wonderful grayscale blocks that fit in as perfect transitions between blocks such as blackstone, basalt, and stone. So let's take a look at what these blocks could be used for. Now, the very first thing I thought of when I saw the deep slate tiles was the Ministry of Magic from Harry Potter. Now, if you've seen the films, and maybe even the books, you'll probably know that the Ministry of Magic is made up of these black and white bricks, and I think this is a perfect block for it. As you can see, we've got the hallway that I recreated from it. It has the flue powder things on the side. Obviously, it's meant to actually be green, but we don't actually have access to a block like that. But as you can see, it does look really nice. It has these gold accents here. We make use of things like anvils, which work really nicely. We've also got the new candles and things like that, and I think it looks really nice in this style. Over here, we have a sort of miniature version of what could be a jungle temple or a portal or something, but it's quite ruined, and I think this looks really nice. So as you can see, we've got a really nice deep slate floor. We've got cracks in it using the slabs and stairs, and on the side we've sort of accented it with the blast furnaces, which do blend in really nicely but do still create a nice tiled look which sort of separates it from the rest of the world, and I think that looks really nice. Then we have some pillars around the side with the chiseled deep slate at the bottom, and then the pillars themselves are made up of the cobbled deep slate and the deep slate walls, which work really well to create a ruined feel. And then we have the obsidian hidden behind these blocks at the end for the nether portal, which creates a really nice hidden portal design. And then around the rest of the build, we have moss and grass, and we also have the drip leaves, the bamboo, and the azalea bushes, which work really well to make it seem overgrown and ruined, and I think it looks awesome. Next up, we have a little house design. Now, this isn't too interesting on its own. We do have a few new features such as the dripstone with the granites, but the main thing is the roof. Now, the thing that the deep slate looks really nice as is, of course, slate in roofs, and this looks great. It does create a nice cobbled sort of texture, but it's still quite dark and grim, I suppose. And it does work really well for any kind of building that might use slate in the roof. As you can see, we've got spruce accenting it and some dormers as well, which looks really nice. And we have mixed in with the regular cobbled deep slate, we have the deep slate tiles as well. And I think this turned out really nice for a basic house. Just something quick to rustle up, but it did turn out fairly nice. And I do like how the deep slate works as the roof tiles. Over here we have a very typical English house. It's probably from the Georgian era, I suppose, or the Victorian era, and I think this looks great. And the main thing here is the deep slate tiles, which works really well. It's just a dark block, but it's still got a bit of texture. It still looks like it could be a brick wall, and it does work really nice in this scenario. As you can see, we've also got the white accents, which really stand out against the dark grey of it, which works really well. And then in the roof we have blackstone instead, which sort of separates it off, but still it looks kind of similar at the same time. We also have a little street lamp design, but I'll get onto a larger version of that in a moment, but I still think this looks really nice. We have the anvils, the hoppers, and the grey carpet. I think that looks really cool, and this is basically what it looks like from a distance. And here is the lamppost design I was talking about. As you can see, we have the polished deep slate with an anvil on the top, then a few polished deep slate walls with a hopper, which sort of creates a triangular shape, and then going along we have the slabs, the hoppers, the chains, and then the lanterns hanging down, which look really nice. And to emphasize the sort of industrial look to it, we also have a crane over here. I've sort of put these together because they're quite small. As you can see, we've got a crane with spruce wood, and we use the deep slate as like mechanisms and components. So we have a base over here, we have a hook over there, we have some gears and things, and I think this looks really nice. It works really well with the chains and the grindstones in particular for mechanisms, and it's a bit cheaper than netherite blocks, which is what I'd normally use in a creative build at least. Next up, we have a kind of corrupted, ruined castle. You could probably expect to see this in some kind of orc settlement or something like Mordor or something like that in Lord of the Rings, and I think this looks so cool. As you can see, on the edges of the tower we have the polished deep slate and the polished blackstone, which creates sort of like a fortified look, and I think that looks great. And then in between we have a mixture of the deep slate bricks with the smooth basalt and then the cobbled deep slate, and that looks so nice as just a regular wall block. It works really well and does blend in quite well with the other surrounding blocks. I think that looks great. And then we've also got some scaffolding and things to show it's being barely supported, it's fallen apart, it's been corrupted or repaired or something. And I think it looks really nice with the spruce and the jungle. But that's beside the point. That's not really a 1.17 hack, but it's still a nice feature to add to your castles nonetheless. And here we have a tree, but this is no ordinary tree. This is a dead, spooky Halloween tree, and as you can see, it's got lots of nice features that sort of spookify it. It's got some candles, a skull, a noose, and some things like that. It's very grim, which is fitting since this used to be called Grimstone. But as you can see, the deep slate works really well as some kind of bark. It sort of works better than acacia, because acacia is a bit lighter and sort of has that purpley colour to it, I guess, which doesn't look too great as dead trees, whereas this looks really nice. It's absolutely perfect for it, and it stands out on all kinds of blocks, and I think it looks great. As you can see, we've got the walls mixed in with the regular blocks, which sort of smooths it out. It gives it a curved, crooked feeling, which looks so good. And then the branches as well, they twist back over to the center, which also look really nobbled and ruined and old, which is quite nice for this style of tree. But yeah, let me know what you think of this down below. This could work really well in some kind of Halloween town or something, or some gothic village. This could look really awesome. Next up, we've got some kind of military base or sci-fi hangar or something that could contain these crates. We've got things like the orangey crates over here, some green crates, but the main ones here are the deep slate crates. So we've got the regular deep slate, and then we've got the polished deep slate around it, and the chiseled deep slate, which in my opinion kind of looks like a keyhole, and that's kind of why I used it. It does look really nice as some kind of safe or fortified crate or something. Some top secret military equipment could be in here or something. That's really nice. And then over here we have a huge fortified door using the deep slate as kind of like metal reinforcements, which looks really nice. And then over here we do have a small little forklift truck, and as you can see, we just have the deep slate walls and some wheels using the deep slate, which also stand out really nicely and do work really well. And we've also used the copper for it. I think that's a really nice color. Now, some of you may remember a video I did a really long time ago. It was like in 2019, I think, and it was of a path video, and to this day I still think a lot of the designs look really nice, and this is one of the designs I had, but I've turned it into like a deep slate design which looks really dark and grim and nice in some kind of cold spruce forest or something. As you can see, we've got ferns and spruce and podzol all around it. We've even got the deep slate iron ore, which sort of looks like dirt all over it, which looks really nice. I love the iron ore texture. And then over here we've got a spruce tree next to it, which sort of diverts your attention from the path itself. But it's got some nice dips and raises in the gradient, which looks really nice. Just going up and down, and it's really nice. And it's a really interesting slope for a path. It's always nice to have a path that's a couple of blocks above the floor to separate it from everything else. So yeah, that's one thing I quite like to do with my paths. But yeah, this works really well. We've got things like the tuff in there, the deep slate, and the smooth basalt, and this works really well for a path in any kind of place. And last but certainly not least, we have a design that could work in some docks or something. And as you can see, these are just some old cobbledy docks over here, but the thing that makes this stand out really nicely is how the deep slate is sort of used to create like a wet waterlogged effect. So as you can see, the water has sort of seeped into the bricks, made them quite dark and shiny and wet, whereas the top ones are more dry and not quite as dark, which I think looks great. It sort of creates like an atmospheric feel, showing how the weather has impacted this build. And it does look quite realistic with this water around it. We've also added things like the basalt in there as well to keep with the cobblestone texture, but it still looks quite dark and wet. Yeah, I think this looks really nice. Let me know what you think of it down below. And these are all 10 designs. Let me know which of these were your favourite, which ones you might consider using in your world, and what kind of things you might use the Deep Slate for that I didn't really think about on this list. I'm sure there are so many opportunities that nobody has really thought of just yet. Feel free to let me know down below. Anyway, thank you for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, please, as usual, leave any suggestions down below. Please feel free to subscribe and like, and check out all the links in the description. Anyway, I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.